video, I'm going to teach myself how to TIG weld aluminum. I bought some welders, and I need to weld my valve cover, so here goes nothing. Well, that's my first touch. Not supposed to touch. And but I quickly figured out, just tap it, tap, tap, tap-a-roo. And I was laying down, except that touch, but I was laying down okay, strings of beads. So that was really assuring. It was a weird experience first TIGging, because with MIG, you know, you're always, you're kind of touching metal at all times, but you're not obviously supposed to touch the tungsten that's in your stinger to any metal. And I was unaware of this, but the pedal is a gas pedal. I didn't know that. What am I doing today? I am going to weld my valve cover some more, because I get oil leaks through the holes that I drilled here. And there are some parts where the manifold is not connected to the head, and I think that's causing more oil leaks. So I think there's multiple things going on here. So there's through holes right here where I decided to attach coil packs and didn't do anything about gaskets, and there's just not a lot of metal, so I'm going to build up the metal. And then this part here, that's not used. I could probably cut that out and repurpose it, just as long as there's not a cam lobe that's supposed to be there. So there's this hole to attach the cover, and there's this hole, and over here, it's on the edge here, and then on the other edge, there's nothing in the middle, so that's just a floating hole. And I tried to JB weld it shut, but now that I'm gonna get here welding, I can repurpose that. So I'm gonna cut this part out and so I don't have to measure anything. I'll just cut it out and then put it exactly like here to the next one, and then drill it out. And then I can fill this in with aluminum. The struggle is going to be to get through dirty metal, because oftentimes, no matter how much you clean it, it's still dirty. And see what happens. Welds were not working out because I wasn't aware that the pedal was a gas pedal, and so I was either getting too hot or not hot enough. And I think I stated later, but something I was experiencing was I couldn't get my filler stick, to load into a melted puddle. Well, it's because you're really supposed to pulse more, quote, gas, and then it'll fill the stick and then let off. I know that time lapse was atrocious, and I cleaned up the aluminum, and there's some aluminum in there. I gotta fill that hole. I don't really understand what's going on. The aluminum is like, it's melting the puddle here, but when I add the stick, I don't know. The stick isn't merging with the existing puddle, and I don't know. It's sort of frustrating.
Something else to do with that puddle merging is if you're trying to weld cold aluminum, merging your stick means that you're adding a cold piece of metal into your puddle, so then it just solidifies. So that I was learning that you could start etching, like warm up the metal. You saw earlier that I brought out the torch. Once you get it going, it's hot. The other problem I was having, I was just touching the tungsten too much. I didn't have a glove on my left hand, and I had a rag there. I couldn't find my other glove. Eventually I did find one, and that drastically improved my welding. This area underside the valve cover was a lot easier to weld. I know I'm grinding off a lot there, but there was just a lot more room, so that was nice. Because of my terrible planning, I had no tools to take down aluminum. My Dremel bits were for steel, and the aluminum would just clog up the bits. And once it's clogged, the aluminum kind of like burns through the bit. Really weird. And the only thing I had that could take away metal in this tight a spot was an oscillating saw. And it took forever.
My welding has much improved versus what this used to be. I ran that over too, just to help smooth that out, all that. And I've got one more to do. This is a lot of work.
I learned how to weld a little bit, and I grinded it all off, but that hole is just a little bit too far to one side, so I definitely got to move it.
I got carried away welding and grinding, but I managed to weld the similar bung that was here over here. You saw it here. I got to move this bung hole over, so I think I need to, you see, like, this is a little bit above center line. I thought these were just on center line, but this needs to be filled in and then drilled out over here. Some spots it looks like I had a bead going. I'm kind of out of control when I'm welding, but I'm getting better. And I reinforced the underside here because this was the first time I welded. I had my friend do it, but there used to be like a vacuum chamber here, so I cut it out and had him weld it flat, but he didn't, it was just cracking all along the edges, so I welded it up here and then welded on the other underside. And another thing that happened is from here to the left, it was warped out down about like half an inch, so I had to cut it all out again and bend the tab back so the valve cover was at least a little bit flat. You can still see it's curved, but that's better than half an inch. There's a lot of gasket too that'll help with that, but anyway, so lots of work. and I'm getting better, so that's good.
Look at that. All right, if I line it up, that hole's actually in the center. Now, it's not a beautiful hole, but I still have to drill it out to 7/8, but I'm waiting for that drill bit to come in, and then if there's little cracks like that, I'll just fill it with RTV, because I'm over it. There it is, it's all on. Gotta see if it leaks. Now, I hope not. I also have to let the RTV set for a little bit, so I'm just gonna be calm.